pianist. And I was really quite good, but when the day was done, there was no harvest.
So I understand you came down to try out for Tic Tac Toe.
Well, my friends tell me I have a good mind for this sort of thing. They coaxed me.
How'd you like to be on 21?
21.
Dan produces both shows.
What about Herbert Stemple?
Yeah, boy. What are we gonna do here?
I could take a whack at it.
Yeah, see, the problem, Professor, is the old college try, we can do it. What if we would have put you on the show? Put you on 21 and ask you questions that you know. Say the questions that he answered correctly on the test this morning.
I don't follow
You want to win, don't you?
Well, I think I'd really rather try to beat him honestly.
What's dishonest? When Gregory Peck parachutes behind enemy lines, you think that's really Gregory Peck? That book that Eisenhower wrote, a ghostwriter wrote it. Nobody cares. It's not like we'd be giving you the answers just because we know you know. You still know. Right. It's not like you're putting me on the show or Al and pretending to be some sort of intellectual. I mean, you have put in years of...
Well, folks, that was the trailer. Since we didn't get the title because that ended up being a clip instead of a trailer, I am reviewing Quiz Show. If you've never heard of it, it's not a big deal. I didn't hear of it until this year. This came out in 1994, and I am going to give you the full review and if I recommend it or if I think this is a lost gem or a try it or a flat out piece of trash. So I will let you know all of that right after this.
For a snack without waking Daddy. Land on a noise, and you have to press Daddy's alarm clock. Will he wake up?
Well, since we are doing a game show movie review, I guess, I figured I would give you a game commercial here. We all remember Don't Wake Daddy.
No, we don't.
Oh, you don't remember that game?
I have never heard of that game.
Oh, it was a nice little gimmick game. You know, you're trying to sneak and get a snack and you don't want to wake them. And, you know, then you got to press the alarm clock. And if you get on a certain amount of tries, he might pop up or he might not. The cap falls off. Oh, it was a lot of fun. So anyway, moving on from Don't Wake Daddy, let me know if you remember that game. And let me know if you enjoyed it, because it was a lot of fun. Those were the 90 gimmicky games. They were kind of amusing. Okay, so Don't Wake Daddy. We used to play this, I think, on New Year's, probably on New Year's Eve when we had game nights. So anyway, back to the movie Quiz Show, which came out in 1994. And like I said, if you never heard of it, that's alright. I haven't heard of it either until I decided to go on YouTube and watch a Siskel and Ebert episode. That's how I stumbled on it. So anyways, apparently this is based off of two events, which I found out after the credits were started rolling, that apparently these game shows in the 50s, they were apparently rigged. So
Aren't they all?
I will get to that at the end of the review, because yes, there is a little bit of a very complicated lecture at the end of this. That will have to wait. Unfortunately, I also do have the real footage of Herb Stempel and Charles Van Doren, the two contestants. So apparently Herb Stempel, who is played by John Turturro. We know him from the review that I did on Monday Night Mayhem. He played Howard Cosell. He was in the movie Barton Fink, Mr. Deeds, Do the Right Thing. And he was in The Big Lebowski. So he has been around. Also, Rob Morrow is in this. You know him from the show Numbers. What character does he play again? Because I forgot. Don. See, I sound stupid for asking, but I don't remember the characters' names on that show, even though I did enjoy it. We also have Hank Azaria. We know him as the voice of Moe. He was in. He was also in Mystery Alaska, The Birdcage. So he's really
Who's Mo?
the bartender Mo from The Simpsons. I thought people would know. Well, they may not. Yes. So we have the voice of Mo from The Simpsons in this. You get to see what he really looks like in this movie. And yeah, he's kind of a sleaze in this as well. He plays Mr. Friedman, who works for NBC. Enough said right there. And we have David Paymer, who plays Dan Enright. He is another worker for NBC. We know him from, he was in City Slickers, he was in Searching for Bobby Fischer, The American President. Oh yeah, that's right, you couldn't see the clips because they got cut. So, let's see, who am I missing? Oh yes, and Ralph Fiennes, who plays Charles Van Doren. The only thing you may have seen him in was he played the head Nazi in Schindler's List. So these are pretty much the actors in this movie. There really isn't. It's a very simple story, but there is a lot of dialogue in this. This was directed by the very boring Robert Redford, or should I say Robert Deadford, since that is his personality. And Robert Redford is, I'm sure people are going to argue, yes, he's a decent actor, but he is probably the inventor of the blank stare. I don't know how he directed this because there really isn't much to him. He's just kind of, he's got a very dead doornail type of personality. We all know him. He was in The Natural and Sneakers and All the President's Men. I think he was in The Horse Whisperer. Oh, you might like that. I'm trying to think what else that people would have seen him in. Oh, The Great Gatsby. He was also in that. Yes, the older one, not with DiCaprio. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Leonardo. DiCaprio. He's not one of my favorites. I can't help it. So going back to Quiz Show, so Herb Stempel is, I think you would find his character very annoying. He is sort of a know-it-all. So he goes on the show, he does well, and then the network kind of tells him that people don't really want him anymore. So they pretty much tell him to take a dive. They give him money, they give him 70 grand to do it, but the problem is he doesn't like it because it's a humiliating question. It's pretty much one that he says a 5-year-old would know. And we all like game shows, we all like the trivia shows. Jeopardy, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, if those shows got caught doing that, I think it would pretty much give them more than a black eye. I think it would probably put them in a body cast, and they would probably be canceled. So, moving on. So then they end up, they find their guy that's applying to be on Tic-Tac-Dough, it's called, and they want him to be the new star of this show called 21, which is what Herb Stempel was on, and what made him some money, and that's what they're telling him to take a dive on. The show was called 21. So, Charles Van Doren is the new star, and he goes along with it. He was hesitant about it because he is a college professor, and he's making $86 a week. So they talk him into being on TV and making a lot more money. They pretty much said Bozo the Clown makes more than a college professor. So it takes him a while, but they do talk him into it. So what happens is Herb Stempel has some money issues, and he blows his 70 grand, and he decides to, I guess, take NBC to court or get them in trouble. So there is an FBI investigator played by Rob Morrow, and he interviews Howard Stempel, goes after Van Doren a little bit, and it turns out that what Rob Morrow is doing is he's not going after the contestants per se, he's trying to get TV in trouble. So let's just say going up against those TV networks is pretty much like going up against an army with machine guns, cannons, and a whole bunch of weapons. It's just, it doesn't work out well. So, I will actually show the first clip because that's pretty much all I'm going to tell you. So, I will show the first clip of them pretty much saying they are done with Herb Stempel.
Geritol. You think ratings? Well, they've even down.
I don't think it works anymore.
Stempel is an underdog. People root for that. It's a New York thing.
Queens is not New York.
He's not hurting sales, is he?
He just doesn't think he works.
Why?
Look, I don't know. I guess the sponsor wants a guy on 21 who looks like he'd get a table at 21.
You just tell him. I said Stempel has an everyman clause. You know that whole American dream thing? You two can be rich.
If the ratings stay high.
Very funny.
I'm just passing.
Well, this is the first clip, and yes, it is Christopher McDonald, who is the host of this show, and we know him from Grumpy Old Men. I think he was in Flubber. He was also obviously in Happy Gilmore. He was Shooter McGavin. So they picked out a really good, I think, game show host for it. It kind of fits it fits the personality a little bit. So the second clip I was going to show would be Charles Van Doren getting talked to by the TV network people, but I don't have to show that clip because the worst trailer in history of TV or movies already showed that. Yes, folks, that was not a clip. That was probably the worst trailer I have ever seen. I wonder if that's why I never heard of this movie, because I did pay attention to movies in 1994, but I don't remember this one at all. So now I will actually show the second clip of Yes. Oh, hi, Rascal. Okay, so since that clip I'm not going to show because it's in that horrible trailer, I will be showing the network people going to Herb Stempel on taking a dive on a really easy question. They're taking him out. They're pretty much whining and dining him. I guess they're doing it the right way. I guess this is what NBC does. So I will show that clip in just a second.
How's that steak? Nothing like a fine piece of meat. No, Herb, it's a hell of a thing. I'm looking at the thing today. You know, the Trendex rating? Yeah. Well, it's a damnest thing. Would you plateaued? Plateaued? What kind of word is that? What, plateaued? Plateaued. Plateaued? It's like a... You mean people don't like me anymore? No, it's not you per se. It's just... Maybe I should get my teeth cut. No, it's the nature of the show. They've already seen you win and they want something new. So what are you saying? If they want me to lose? Well, don't you think that's natural? Joe Louis was the champ for 12 years. Nobody ever wanted Joe Louis to lose. Think about the cause of education. Cause of education? Besides, I'm asking you for your help. Fine. Just let me play it honestly. Will you please give me a number, Stan? Go ahead, give me a number. Give me a number. Excuse me, sir. Give me a number. A random number. I don't know. 23? Beethoven was 23 when he composed his first piano sonata. In 1923, Jack Bentley...
Well, this is the restaurant where he pretty much tells him to take a dive, and then he pretty much tells him to take a humiliating question for the loss. So he pretty much tells him that it's always been an arrangement. So it's kind of funny how these networks are kind of fooling the audience, and TV was supposed to be a public trust. So it pretty much isn't, and Herb Stempel is pretty much making a scene in the restaurant. And the guy at the network, Dan Enright, is trying to tell him to be quiet. Well, obviously he's not too happy about it, but he says for $70,000 you can afford to be humiliated. So now what he does do is Dan Enright promises him a panel on another show. So he is making promises, but the problem is this is a TV network doing this. Can you really trust them? I will ask the audience that as well. Can you trust a TV network? So, yeah, pretty much somebody is shaking her head no, and that is probably the very correct answer to a T. So I will show you how this show actually does get run. I will play part of the clip of the Van Doren versus Stempel episode. So I will show you that clip in just a second.
Atahualpa was the leader of the Incas at the time of the conquest.
Correct. Wouldn't that be William Allen White? That's correct.
I'd like to take the third part, Matt.
His fourth wife was Anne of Cleves.
He divorced Catherine Vanderbilt.
He divorced her.
He beheaded our boy.
Well, they all died.
Herb's Temple leads at this point by 18-10. Herb?
Yes, Mr. Barry.
The category is movies. How many points you want to try for?
I'll try it for 3. 3 points.
Which motion picture won the Academy Award for 1955?
Marty. Marty.
Doesn't know it.
All right, Herb, I'll tell you when your time is up.
I don't remember. I don't remember. On the waterfront.
Well, this is the part here where he does end up taking the dive, but the whole thing was actually arranged. Even him pausing like that was actually, it was all an arrangement. The way that he was, the way that they had him sweat on camera was by design. They turned off the air conditioning. They did all these things to make it more dramatic. So it's kind of interesting how they pretty much fixed everything, not just the question, but how he acted and all that other stuff. So the whole thing was an arrangement. So I think that is pretty interesting. So that's what happened to Herb, and now they promised him another show. So I mean, he doesn't really. He takes the humiliation, I guess, pretty well. But Charles Van Doren is loving his new fame. He just made $25,000 in one shot compared to his $86 a week teaching at Columbia. He's not a professor yet. So now Charles Van Doren, his dad is Mark Van Doren, who is a famous professor. So he has a name to keep. So the problem is, if he gets caught, that's going to damage the family name. So he does have some stuff to lose here. But that's only if he gets caught, though. I mean, Howard Stemple's not going to tell or anything, right? Well, let's find out, because he does, let's just say that NBC isn't really in a hurry to bring Herb Stemple back on TV. So I will show the clip of one man's success and the other man's struggles. And I will show you that in just a second.
What do I know?
Hello, this is Herb Stemple calling for Mr. Enright.
Our current reigning champion from New York, Mr. Charles Van Doren. 24 hours. Geritol liquid, or now...
It's the only townhouse there in the village.
I'll take it.
This is Herb Stemple. This is about the 17th time I called.
I guess we didn't put the envelope.
Okay, so now if you are watching these clips here, obviously Charles Van Doren is having a very good time with his new fame. You can see him picking out a townhouse. He's also a single guy, too. So obviously he is probably the most eligible bachelor right now at this time. And little old Herb here is pretty much calling them many, many times. He needs to relax. Maybe he should look at some fantasy cards. So anyways, so Herb is having he's getting very, very impatient because nobody's calling him back. He's calling the network several times. And I hope these younger viewers are watching this so they can look at that rotary phone. Yes, those are what telephones did look like. This is obviously before your little cell phones. There were no passwords either to use those. You just pretty much twist and dial. So I will show the next clip here where he finally does go into the office of Dan Enright. So he arrives at NBC only because he decided to take legal action. So I will show you that clip in just a second.
This whole thing with the grand jury and the things you said, well, they hurt me. I can't tell you how, well, they hurt me deeply.
I told the truth.
There you go again.
You promised me, Dad. You promised that you'd help me out.
Don't you think that I want to help you more than I already have? But the point is, you've made it impossible.
Look, you want me to
I want you
apologize?
to sign
I
a
apologize.
statement.
What kind of statement?
Clears me and the show of any wrongdoing.
What about the panel show?
See, that's a perfect example. I told you I'd do what I could, and I did. I put your name on a list.
You put me.
Well, this is Herb pretty much barging into the office, telling him that he is going to kind of, he's going to push a lawsuit. So the network tries to explain that they tried to help him out, and they just put his name on a list. So after a bunch of yelling and pretty much pleading, he's then finally the network guy, Dan Enright, he does say that he put him on a list, but they rejected him. They rejected 3 people, and he was one of them. So then he says that he needs the money because he spent the $70,000. So then he pretty much says how he should be on Time Magazine and not Charles Van Doren. And then he storms out and says he's going to take the whole network down. So, let's see. Good luck, Herb. Good luck trying to take down NBC. So, NBC, I mean, they kind of run that company that has 21, so that's the whole excuse there. So, now so what happens is, the grand jury thing did wind up in the newspaper, and so Dick Goodwin ends up looking at it, the head of, or one of the FBI agents. So he does get suspicious, so I will show you that clip in just a second.
What's the New York Times say? Same thing? Generally. Most people who live in Washington settle for the Washington papers.
Well, the Times is a paper of record.
Dick hopes someday to be confused with an important person.
Although the crowd was cordoned off at a distance of 100 yards. The senator should sign this guy.
You guys know there was a grand jury in New York on the quiz shows?
Jim Lemon can't even hit the cutoff, man. This guy throws a 300-foot strike with an onion.
Did they come up with anything?
Sealed the presentment.
That's a no.
Why do you say that?
The presentment's a statement of findings. If there were anything else, right?
The purpose is to make the findings public, then why keep it a secret?
Well, this is Dick Goodwin here. He looks at the paper, and he pretty much looked at the paper and saw that there was a grand jury. So he's pretty much saying that the TV networks wanted to keep something a secret. So he is going to try to investigate this, and we'll find out what happens in the next clip, because I'm not going to give away exactly what he wants to do. So I will show you that in just a second.
Presentment, it's illogical.
It's the local.
It's television.
Whoa. TV.
Under our jurisdiction, right? I mean, we have oversight over all the agencies, includes the FCC.
You're gonna investigate a dead investigation?
We're gonna put television on trial. Television.
That's good.
Everybody in the country.
Well, this is a nice thought here. Let's put TV on trial. I like his ambition. I like his idea. He really wants to bring this TV to the public that they were dishonest. Great idea, but he has no idea what he's up against. So now I am going to show one more clip, and that's pretty much it, of him talking to Herb about this little incident here with him taking a dive. So I will show you the final clip in just a second.
Would you like a cup of coffee, mister? I already got the pot on.
I tell you, that sounds great, actually.
And bring some arugula if there are any left. I love my life, but it's like living with a plate of locusts. Charles Van Doren told him when I told him, do you think this whole grand jury thing would be squashed?
Quashed. It's not squashed.
Not in a million years. Quashed, okay?
What exactly did you tell the grand jury?
Happen.
No.
Lester, will you knock it off for 10 minutes? Come on, there is Jewish delicacy. Before Toby sealed, it's illegal.
Well, just between us.
They made me take a dive. Marty, they made me lose on Marty just to humiliate me.
Who made you take a dive?
Dan Enright. He told me I had plateaued, that the ratings had plateaued.
A sinking ship in the red
Do you
state.
think in a million years I wouldn't know Marty, and meanwhile Charles Van Moron would be on the show 11 weeks in a row?
I don't understand.
Fun.
How could they make you take a dive?
What?
Well, this is the final clip that I'm going to show. So this is pretty much Goodwin interviewing Herb Stempel, and he wants to get his side of it. And he pretty much tells him that they purposely told him to take a dive. And then he said the whole thing is a setup. So, obviously, Dick Goodwin here is very, very interested in this, but he needs a lot more information from him. So, does he get it or not? Well, that is obviously for you to find out for yourself. I am not going to give any more away, but our little buddies, Siskel the Grouch and King of the Toilet Chair, did review this. So we will hear their whole point of view on it before I give you mine. So I will show you them in just a minute.
To be on some rigged quiz show, instant fame, the works. Would you do it?
Oh, of course not.
No.
Ralph Fiennes plays Charles Van Doren, a university teacher who got caught in a history-making TV scandal in Quiz Show, one of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, including new films starring Steve Martin, Sean Connery, and Melanie Griffith. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is Quiz Show, and in a word, I think it's great. An absolutely mesmerizing drama based on the quiz show scandals of the 1950s, where America got its first TV pop culture reality check when we found out that our new national heroes were faking their way to fame and fortune. Director Robert Redford, working from a fine script from a former film critic, all right, Paul Attanasio, tells the story of Charles Van Doren, a product of New England's cultural and intellectual elite, who achieves a celebrity status and fame greater than that of his poet father when he becomes involved in a rigged quiz show called 21. Here he meets with the show's producers, played by David Paymer and Hank Azaria. Charles Van Doren is played superbly by the English actor Ralph Fiennes, Oscar-nominated last year as the evil Nazi commandant in Schindler's List.
You want to win, don't you?
Well, I think in his first show is a less glamorous brain, a walking encyclopedia named Herbert Stempel. Very well played by John Turturro, and he even asked to take a dive because the producers would prefer to have a wasp champion than a Jew.
Now, the last category is
Men, which starred Redford. Quiz Show is an investigative thriller with a young government lawyer played by Rob Morrow trying to blow wide open corruption in the relatively new industry of television.
Herb is so angry with himself for losing, and it was on such a simple question, too. Marty. His ego couldn't handle it. He blames Charles Van Doren for his downfall, and of course, the real downfall of Herbert Stempel has always been Herbert Stempel. Absolutely. Well, you met him. Does he seem stable to you?
Well, I definitely have an inkling of what you're talking about. He told me this whole story about how when a Jew is on the show, he always loses to a Gentile, and then the Gentile wins more money. Who could dream up a scheme like that?
The confrontation between Van Doren is a very good one because both men know in this encounter exactly what the other knows.
What is this? It's still that business with Stempel. Dad says he's not the most reliable fellow.
Well, there's a problem, Charlie. I found another contestant, a man named James Snodgrass. He says he got the answers, too.
I really like Quiz Show, and one of the reasons is that it names names. It doesn't fictionalize the story. The film is very much about the win-at-any-cost American business system, about a nation's loss of innocence, about the new industry of television, and about the sense of entitlement held by America's WASP ruling class. And on the conventional entertainment level, it has all the suspense and inherent drama of a good quiz show, even one that you know is fixed. I think Quiz Show is clearly one of this year's very best movies.
It's a wonderful movie, Gene, and I think you put your finger on it when you say that it's really about the system, because to this day, a lot of people remember Charles Van Doren's name as if he spontaneously did something wrong. And actually, his transgression was much smaller than the transgression of the system which produced that show and which rigged it. And this movie by Robert Redford makes it very clear that the network was never touched. The sponsors were never touched. The producers of this show went on to make millions producing other TV shows.
Yeah.
They all just continued to get rich, and this poor guy who's plucked out of obscurity basically and tempted with something that I think many of us would be tempted by, if we're going to be honest, is the one who still has to take the rap.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's a complete fall guy. I'm told that in reality, Van Doren is more complicitous, more eager than he is even shown here. But this picture plays like when I'm linking this with All the President's Men, I'm linking it with one of the great investigative stories in American movies, and I think this picture has the same kind of energy to it. You're just sitting there as you watch this investigation going on while being entertained by all the quiz show mechanisms.
You know, there's a fascinating line in this movie where they say quiz shows are going to continue because we made a mistake. We didn't realize what people are really watching is the money.
Yeah.
In a way.
It's a very, very good piece of work.
Now let's take another look at the movie.
Okay, well, this is the final clip that I did show. So, this is Siskel the Grouch and King of the Toilet Chair, pretty much saying that it is a good film, and I do have to agree with them. I'm surprised that they understand the story, and I'm surprised that that King of the Toilet Chair was able to follow the movie with all his crunching of Butterfingers and Whoppers and Junior Mints. And I'm surprised that Siskel liked it, considering he was probably watching this during his daily colonoscopy. So they obviously did enjoy it and called it one of the best pictures of the year. Now, if you looked at how much this made in the theaters, well, I just stumbled on and so the budget was $31 million. It made $24 million at the box office. So okay, I guess it wasn't one that I guess you would go to the theaters and see, but I am actually going to agree with the two nitwits on this one. I stumbled on this movie looking at a review of it, and I had to watch it a few times because unfortunately this movie is very, very, very good. I am going to highly recommend you seeing this, but I recommend seeing this if you are watching this by yourself. You don't want to have screaming kids in the background because there's a lot of dialogue. You might miss something. This is a very good drama. It's 2 hours and 13 minutes, which to me is great. I would rather watch a longer movie. I'm not like Jeremy Jahns, which he likes the under the 2 hour time limit for whatever reason. But a movie like this is one that I would want to see in a theater because I would get my money's worth. So, but if you have a loud relative or screaming kids, this is not one you want to watch because you will miss something important. There's a lot of things going on. I just didn't want to show a lot of clips because I didn't want to give anything away. So if I had to give this movie a grade, I am going to give this a big fat A-. I enjoyed this a lot, and I've already watched it three times, and I have a feeling I missed a lot. So I would actually like to watch this a couple more times. I recommend seeing this at least 2 or 3 times. So I don't know what streaming service it's on, so yes, I'm going to use my spiel where try to pick this up at a flea market or find it at a garage sale or just buy it on eBay like I did for $6. It was worth it. I would pay $10 for this. So now this was interesting because this story really did. I'm not going to tell you the end, but it doesn't tell you exactly what happens. There's actually a documentary you can watch on this on YouTube. If you type in quiz show documentary, it should show up. It was on PBS. And it pretty much said that some of the shows really did get a black eye. They actually ended up getting canceled, and Congress did get involved. So now if you watch Jeopardy, that's not rigged. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is not rigged. But you can fix reality shows because those are in the entertainment bracket, like WWE and the other professional sports, believe it or not, are in that bracket. So you can fix an NFL game, but you cannot fix a game show. That's just the way it is. And you can actually look that up, so you don't have to say that I'm just blowing smoke. You can look this up on the internet. So I am actually going to show the real footage of 21 and this is the Charles Van Doren and Herb Stempel. So I will show you a couple seconds of that clip. This is the actual footage. So I will show you that in just a second.